Confronted my husband about the excessive time my sister spends at our house half-dressed, but he said it's my issue to resolve. Fran and surprises aren't a great mix, but I tried to stay open-minded. Eventually, I agreed to meet her for coffee. That's where it all blew up. Fran looked me straight in the eyes and confessed that she'd been in love with James for years. I mean, I always knew she had a high school crush on him, but I had no idea it ran so deep. She told me her marriage fell apart because she was never truly over him and confided that, deep down, she'd always held on to hope. She admitted she had been waiting for the right moment to tell me. Yes, she actually said she was waiting for me to be emotionally distant enough from James so she could swoop in. I sat there, absolutely floored. The anger, the betrayal, the heartbreak, they all crashed over me in a single, sickening wave. But as she went on, I realized this wasn't just about James. It was about everything between her and me. Fran said she'd always felt like she was in my shadow, and after her divorce, struggling financially, feeling isolated, she thought she deserved a shot at the better life I had. In her eyes, that meant a life with James. I was struck completely silent. Everything I'd tried to rebuild with James suddenly felt so fragile. And then Fran hit me with the final bombshell. She told me she planned to tell James everything. No more secrets, no more waiting for my permission. She was just going to go for it. Fran even admitted she had been testing the waters, coming over to our house more, trying to see if there was any spark left between them when I wasn't around. At that moment, I almost lost it. The fury racing through my body left me shaking, but I knew, no matter how badly I wanted to explode, I had to keep my head, for my marriage and my own sanity. I got up, walked away from that coffee shop, drove straight home, and waited for James. When he came through the door that evening, I didn't even let him put his coat down. I blurted out every twisted detail Fran had shared, her confession, her intentions, her manipulation, all of it. I expected James to be shocked, maybe defensive, but he surprised me. His face turned ghostly pale and he calmly admitted, I knew she was up to something. And then, somehow, impossibly, things got even more insane. James told me Fran had been hinting at these feelings for months. When I wasn't around, she dropped comments about how she always felt something for him, how she regretted letting him slip away, how their lives would have been so different if they'd ended up together instead of her ex-husband. At first, he hadn't taken her seriously, but I guess the subtle comments, the extra visits, her attempts to get close to him, they started piling up. He admitted he just didn't know how to tell me without turning it all into a massive conflict. The betrayal I felt when James finally told me this. It almost made me dizzy. Not just Fran, James, too. I thought we'd rebuilt our trust. I thought those painful secrets were behind us, that we finally understood each other. But suddenly, everything felt like it was falling apart. Yet, out of nowhere, instead of losing my temper, I felt this surprisingly sharp sense of clarity. I realized it was time to lay down boundaries, not just with Fran, but with James as well. I told him he had to be completely honest with Fran. No more sidestepping, no more quiet suffering. If she said anything, if she tried anything, he needed to shut it down instantly. I told him, we have to be a team. I'm not going to let her get away with this anymore. James agreed, shaken and remorseful. He told me he honestly hadn't realized how much Fran was hurting me, and I could tell he genuinely felt awful. He promised he'd talk to her, really talk to her, about her behavior. But he also told me the reason he hadn't said anything sooner was because he wanted to protect me from the pain, to avoid reigniting conflict between us. Hearing that made my heart sink a little lower. Now, we're here, sitting in the fallout. James is preparing himself for a hard conversation with Fran, not about her feelings, but about her actions and what's acceptable going forward. He's going to set clear boundaries, and let her know that if she wants to